The following program contains adult language, poor taste in jokes, racial slurs, political slurs, slants, and all sorts of things that, if you are sensitive and have a delicate constitution, you should probably go watch Teletubbies. You were warned.
I ain't drunk, I'm just drinking.
But you're so high.
Oh man, you know I ain't high.
But you're so high.
Yeah, well I just take a little sip every now and then.
But you're so high.
You ought to be ashamed of
Stay
yourself.
drunk all
Oh,
the
come on now,
time.
you all don't feel like that.
Hey kids! Bam! Happy Friday! It is time to do the drone build. I am so pumped. I've been putting this off for a while just because I knew it was going to be a long project, and this week's just been a motherfucker busy. So, anyhow, we're going to build this drone. And if you're using this as a guide, I think it's going to be 4 pieces. Probably 2 pieces for the build. 1 video for iNav, which is going to be long and fucking boring, so unless you're doing a drone, you won't want to watch it. And obviously, I'm going to do a flight footage and tests and all that stuff like that. So, and we're going to talk about drone fundamentals and things like that. So, anyhow, what we're going to start out with, you don't have to build this exact same drone that I'm doing. You need a couple of the same components. This thing's going to have everything but the kitchen sink in it. Just why not? Just because you guys are here and bam. But you can build an EWAD, you can build a Y4, you can build this monster truck thing that I'm going to build. So like you guys all know, if you know me, you know EWAD. EWAD is a 200 millimeter, my R2-D2 of the channel. I love my EWAD. This is my guy. It's gone 4,000 feet up in the air. But he handles kind of like a quad. And I made it that way on purpose. Look, he's not very big. He's only 200 millimeter. He's completely waterproof, just about crash proof. Has every bell and whistle you could just about possibly imagine. But he handles like a quad. He actually has acro mode. So I can go up 4,000 feet and just do some crazy ass shit and recover just fine. You can build that from this video. Bam. Okay. Then you've got the Y4, the ever famous. This is my Y4 drone, and this is a full-blown drone. You guys have seen this probably here and there. Love it. He's not waterproof or anything like that, but he's kind of an EWAD. I mean, the smaller the drone, the better the wind handling. So if you have a really windy day, the smaller the props you have. Remember, I told this to my brother the other day. The smaller the props that you have, the better high winds you'll handle, because props are essentially wings. So the more wing you have, the more air you catch. So that's why EWAD is an extreme weather aerial drone, and this kind of is too. Because even if I have 20-mile-an-hour winds, bam, I can fly this thing all day long, and it's fine. Now, if you're building a big bird, like the one that's going to be in this video, 10-inch props and shit like that, you don't want to fly it in really strong winds. So, here is the frame we're using. It is huge. It is like a 560 or a 570, and I will put in one of the descriptions of one of the videos all the build parts for this. This thing is big, okay? That's where our GPS is going to go. That's where our FPV camera is going to go. That's where our gimbal is going to go. And this is a folding drone, okay? Now, you get the idea. I will unfold it later. I didn't do a build video of putting this thing together because it is a complete fucking time-consuming. You better have a drink and sit at the kitchen table, because it took me, and I am like the build master, it took me an hour and a half. But I was talking to my buddy Matt during the process, so you know that might be why. But there are a lot of parts to this piggy. So you need a frame. You can use any frame you want. A big misconception that people think of is like, oh, drone, it's got to be this, got to be that. EWAD that you just saw is actually a quadcopter frame. It's not a drone frame. The cost difference between a drone and a quad is $35 and firmware. You need to buy a GPS that has a compass. You have to have a flight controller that has a built-in barometer. We'll talk about all that in a minute. And just add a GPS and you're done. So bam. So we have to have a frame. So we're going to use this guy. And this was given to me by my good friend Warlock Hunter, and his name's Felix, and he's in Florida. I built him a drone. a couple days ago, which does fly well, by the way. And he's like, hey, I want you to have this. He gives this to me. I love it. So I am calling this the TrollHunter out of respect for my brother, Warlock Hunter. That's his YouTube name, Felix. So we're going to turn this thing into just every dickhead in the world is going to want this motherfucker when I'm done with it. It's going to be cool. So then what you need is the magic bucket. Magic bucket. I don't know if you can see that. Anyways, a bunch of drones. Now, the drone stuff. Now, the thing that I want, this coffee container. The thing that I wanted to tell you guys is I'm going to build this absolutely badass drone out of parts I've already used. 98% of this drone is going to be used parts because I have them. Why not? So, let's see what we got. The magic bucket. All right. There's some shit. So, 2-axis brushless gimbal. Pretty cool. This is optional. You do not need this, but we're going to use it. Let's see what else we got. We need some motors. So there's one. There's one. These are all good motors. There's one. And there's one. So for this particular bird, this is a big bird. We're going to be using 10 to 11 inch props on this guy. So I'm using a lower KV motor. And we'll talk about all this as I'm building so you guys understand it better. These are 920 KV motors, but they're big. They're 22, so big beefy motors. So we're going to use those. Don't want that. I'm going to use some high-powered LEDs. And I'm going to put a bunch on here just because y'all know me. Because I'm me. So I'm going to use 4 high-powered LEDs. And I'll put a link in the description. I get these actually from a website in the States called superbrightled.com. And these things will blind your ass. Love them. You can see these things from like 6 miles away. I am not kidding. I actually flew one of my older drones about a mile away, and I could see it plain as day, just line of sight because of these. We're going to throw 4 of them on there. What the hell? We need a GPS module, so I'm going to use my Radiolink SE100. U-Blocks, basic standard. I'll put a link in the description. This is my preferred GPS. This thing will pick up satellites faster than a poor man picking up $1, man. I mean, this fucker, bam, doesn't have to heat up or nothing. Perfect. We're going to need a board. Shit. And I got I got thousands of Omnibus F3s and all this stuff, but I'm going to use a brand new one that I use for experimenting with. I've never even used it in a bird, but this is an Omnibus F3. This is a $22 flight controller. Cheap, cheap, cheap. I love these things for drones, especially because a drone, you don't need the sampling rate and the hertz values of like what we do with race quads or freestyle quads even. But I use these in freestyle quads too. I have one of these in the Headhunter, actually. But the reason I use the Omnibus series, you can use an Omnibus F3, F4, F3 Pro, F4 Pro, or an F7. I don't recommend you use the F7 because it's more expensive than you really need for a drone. It really is. This is a $24 board, but the reason you want it, kiddos, is because it has a built-in, I don't know if you can see that, barometer. A barometer is what tells you your height. It measures the air pressure around you, and that's what holds your altitude. You have to have a barometer. Later on, I'm going to put a little annex on this video because they haven't come in yet. My brother, one of my buddies on the channel said, hey, why don't you do part of your video with adding a barometer to an existing flight controller? If you guys have a Kakute F4, I can show you how to put a $2 barometer on it that you get off Banggood or wherever and make it work. So you don't have to use an Omnibus. If you guys, like, I've got a drawer full of fucking Airbot F4s and SP Racing F3s and blah, 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 but they don't have built-in barometers. So I ordered 4 or 5 of them. They're really cheap. You can buy like 5 of them for $7 or some shit. I'm going to show you guys later. I don't have them right now, but I will show you how to take pretty much any F3 and up flight controller and put a barometer on there. So we will do that. But for this video, I'm using the Omnibus F3, and we're using a, what the fuck, FR Sky, whatever the hell. Yeah, I'll put a link in the description. Receiver, whatever receiver y'all got. You want at least, let me think about this, 6... You can do a drone technically with a 6-channel transmitter, but I really recommend a 10 at least. You'll see why as we set it up. So anyway, there's our flight controller. We are going to use a power distribution board, and I don't know which one I'm going to use just yet. I've got a bunch of these old fuckers. There's a stupid cheap one. There's a nicer one. Whatever. I'll explain why in a while. Where's my other motors? Oh, they're there. I got a lot of these motors. I could make a fucking octocopter. Look at that. There's 4 more. We'll put that in there. We don't need that. I am going to be putting an OLED on here. This is optional as well. It's like $3. It's an organic light-emitting diode, basically a screen, and it shows you all sorts of little information. We're going to put that bell and whistle on there too. This is a different GPS. This is the other model that I use. Yeah, it's just a U-Blocks, same old shit. But I do like the Radio Link better, but this one is very good as well if you can't get the Radio Link. They're both, Radio Link I think is $26, and this is like $22. No big deal. And your GPS has the built-in compass. You have to have a compass. I am also going to be putting in, let's see, we got, there's a VTX, have to have that. I believe this is a 600 milliwatt. If not, I'll use a 600 milliwatt. Either way, standard old VTX, OLED, don't need that. I don't need a GPS stand for this build. Some other LEDs. I am actually going to take a standard old cheapo camera, FPV camera, and we're going to use a, hang on a second, I'm not. Let me revamp that. I'm going to use this. This is a RunCam Eagle 2, I believe. Yep, Eagle 2. Bam, okay? We're going to use this for our main FPV. Fine. But I'm going to take one of these and drill a hole in the bottom of the frame and have it pointing straight down. Yes, 2 FPV cameras. And I'm going to put in an FPV camera switcher. Now what this will actually hold up to 3 cameras. And when I do the build, the drone wing build, the flying wing drone, which is coming up after this probably, I'm going to use this with 3 cameras, one pointing down, one pointing out, one pointing off the wing. And you can literally switch which camera you're looking at through your transmitter. Bam, $10. Can't beat it. So we're doing that. Don't need that. Have to have a far view. That's just silly. Don't have a far view. Don't need that. There's another omnibus. Don't need that. Let's see. What else we got going in this piggy? Pink diggly diggly. Wow, there's another omnibus. I got a lot of those things. Put that up there with my other omnibus. I got like 20 of these boards. Okay, so I am going to put on a new Eagle 2, and we're going to put on new ESCs. And the brushless gimbal is going to go on there, and there's actually going to be Bluetooth connection on this and everything else as well. So, bam, there we go. That's all the guts. And oh wow, there's another camera. Fox here. I got shit everywhere. I got builds for builds for builds. This place is a fucking mess. You should see it. We're going to need conformal coat. We're going to need this, that, and all these other things. So I'm just going to leave all this shit over here. Just squish it over. Okay. So we're going to grab our frame. This thing has more room than a fucking minivan. Literally, I have from here to here, and I barely get this bitch in shot. Look at that. Bam. It's awesome. Is that the right one? Yeah, okay. I literally have that much room to put shit in. So this is going to be built differently. Now, the build physics of a drone is the exact same thing as a quad. If you guys know how to build a quad, this is going to be like, oh, no shit? Seriously, it's not rocket science. The rocket science comes in the iNav setup. So what I'm going to do to make life easy for us, I am going to take all these 8 billion screws out, and I'm going to take this top plate off so we can see all the real estate we have to deal with. And then we're going to get to building. So, bam, be right back. Give me 20 seconds. Bam, we're back. Okay, that thing has more screws than a hooker in Vegas, man. I'm telling you what. I have built entire quads faster than I put this frame together the other day. But anyway, so now it's all flimsy and weird. That's okay. And this is, by the way, guys, a fiberglass frame. This is not carbon fiber. The thing weighs absolutely nothing. For a drone frame, it's really nice. And it's actually a really old design. I think this thing's been around for quite a few years, so 3 or 4 years, but I really like it for an all-inclusive Inspector Gadget. Got more shit on it than, you know, fucking public toilet. So here we go. Bam. We're going to take off the top, and there's the guts. So basically, look at it first in this case. Like I said, you can use any frame for this. You don't have to use this thing. But basically, anything within the arms, is mine to play with. Pretty easy. So we're going to actually use this for reference. But yeah, it's a really pretty well thought out frame for the most part. So what you want to do first, this is how I do it. I'm going to install all the large components first. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, you have to have the FC or flight control right in the center of the bird. That's not necessarily true. Will I do it that way? Maybe. Let's see what happens. So we're going to take a flight controller. I'm going to plug in my soldering iron because, as usual, I have not prepared. Because I've been really wanting to do this build for a while, and it's just been fucking pissing me off. Okay, so, because I'm going to take, we can leave that on, I guess. But anyway, you're going to be shocked when you see how I mount this stuff. I'm actually just going to double-sided tape it down. So we've got a bunch of ESCs. Not a bunch, but 4. And believe it or not, I'm using 30 amp ESCs with this. Actually, they're 28, but I round up. We're going to use 30 amp ESCs with this guy. It will be enough. Yeah, that's what I ran on all my other ones with this size, so we're okay there. GPS is going to be going on top like this, probably back here. I can put this anywhere I want. So let's take our power distribution board. And I don't know if this is the one we use. I'm going to clean this up before I put it on. But I'm just going to show you guys how I'm doing this. So if we just place our components, we got so much room in here, like fucking forget about it. Now, one of the things I do want to make sure of is that I have access to that USB, but I am going to put a Bluetooth in this thing, so I don't actually have to connect it with a cable. Let's see, so I guess I don't have to worry about that. But you might want to put yours way in the back or something like that. So let's just say there. I don't care. So let's see, take a look at this. I could just put it in the back, but I don't think I'm gonna. I don't love that idea. So I think maybe we will put this in the center. Power distribution board. There's no reason to build a stack in this bird because there's so much freaking room. It's nice to be able to have access to your solder points without having to piss around taking shit apart. Why do that? I got loads of fucking room in this thing. So we're going to have to mount our motors. We're going to extend the wires. We're going to bring them through those carbon fiber tubes and wrap the motors around. And we're going to put ESCs over here. And we're going to put ESCs over here. So, Lord have mercy. Mercy, mercy, mercy. They're there. Okay, so there's 4 ESCs. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to stick them 2 up here and 2 back here. Yeah, I'm liking how that's working out. This is going to be pretty simple. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean up this board and I'm going to tin, hang on a tick, all these ESCs. Not that hard to do. Bam, there it is. We're going to tin all 3 of these leads, and I'm going to tin these. Now, one of the other things I'm going to do is I am going to conformal coat the living shit out of this bird because I want it relatively water resistant. Just because I fly a lot of drones in winter and snow and stuff like that. I don't usually fly in rain on purpose, but it happens sometimes. And I want this thing to be reasonably watertight. Now, if it falls in the lake, it might still be okay. EWAD would be. I don't know if I'm going to get that anal with this one because most of my components are going to be under there. So it's really not the end of the world. So we're going to paint all these up with some conformal coat. And all we're going to tin, I'm not going to do it on camera. I don't want this video to be 8 million years long. So I'm not going to show you soldering. Y'all can solder yourself, but I'll show you what I've done. So we're going to tin these. We're going to tin positive, negative, and signal. Leave the negative off right there. Bam. So take your conformal coat and you want to conformal coat the bottoms of these ESCs first and let them dry up a little bit. And we're going to be putting some double-sided tape over these anyway. So, these are going to be pretty tight on the bottom. Don't drown the fuckers now. All right. We're going to let those dry. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean up this board, this power distribution board. And I'm going to fasten these down with double-sided tape. Probably even the flight controller, to be honest. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Because it doesn't need to be... My double-sided tape that I use will hold your kid to the fucking ceiling. Look at it. Bam! 3M, man. Get that shit. It's good stuff. So I'm going to double-side tape both of these. This is, like I said, fiberglass. It's non-conductive, so I'm not even worried about shorting out. And we're going to get these pieces mounted, and then we're going, and the receiver, I guess I forgot about that guy. We're going to put the receiver in there too. And then we're going to put on the motors. We're going to measure our wires out. Bam. So be right back. Bah. Bam, and we're back. Okay, so we have assigned or set in all of our little components. Look how cute. Okay, so now this is, I build every drone different. EWAD's been built different. This one's been built different. My 450 was built different. My Hercules was built different. This is just how I'm doing it. So this ESC is going to be motor 2, 4, 1, 3. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to mount the motors. Now, if you look at the motors here, now let's see if I can get this shot. Whew, that is one thin frame. All right. I'm going to try and do this. All right, so if we take this motor and we put it here, you can see I have a wire issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin it this way, and we're going to wrap this wire underneath and inside the tube. We're going to extend the wires all the way to the ESCs. And I'm going to have to solder these up, and you know, nothing but a peanut, easy shit. And the nice thing is you can make a mess, and it can be ugly, and nobody's going to see it because it's going to be within the tube. So then what we're going to do, I bought some extra wire, which I do not like. Hopefully it solders worth of shit. And they put it in this thing, you know, for guys that don't know how to do shit. All right, so we're going to measure from here. We're going to fold this arm in. I don't know how many of you are going to actually, oh, fucking hell, build. I'm trying to be careful, I don't want to break it. I don't know how many of you are actually going to build with this frame, but so we're going to give ourselves some extra. So we're going to go from here to here to here. So we're going to cut that and see if that works out. So slide it through the tube. I'm going to cut this little bit of shit off here. All right. I'm going to slide it through the tube just to make sure everything's copacetic. Oh, we got plenty of fucking room. And I'm going to give myself probably down to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 3 pieces for each front this size. Now, like I said, the frame that you guys do, you might not have to do this, but I'm going to cut basically 6 pieces this long for the fronts, then we'll measure the back separately, and then I'm going to solder them in. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do this on camera because I don't want this to take for fucking ever. We're going to solder these up, splice them into the motors. God, I got so much shit here. Where'd the fucking motor go? Oh well, I'll use this one. We're going to splice it into the motor, and I'm going to attach the motors, okay? So I'm going to be right back. Bam and bam, here we go. So what we did, let me zoom in a little bit. Poof. Okay, so I soldered our wires to the ends of the motors, ran them through the bracket, through the tube, around, zip stripped them here, and soldered them onto the ESCs. So that little bit is done, and believe it or not, that was a real time consuming. It's not hard by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely time consuming. So now what we're going to do is we're going to wire the signal wires of the ESCs to the flight controller, and we're going to put some power wires from the ESCs over to the power distribution board. So this one obviously is going to be very easy, very short. Smoking hot wife, hang on. Sorry, smoking hot wife moment. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to connect the power leads, and I will come up with a better way to tie these ESCs down. Right now they're just double-sided tape. This is fine, this is fine. One of the tricks that I did with this flight controller is I put 2 pieces of double-sided tape on the bottom of it. By the way, I conformal coated the bottom of everything here. If you want your bird to be water resistant, do that, okay? But I took 2 pieces of double-sided tape, stuck them to the bottom of the flight controller, and then put hot glue on the bottom of the tape, and then hot glued it down and held it level, okay? Because the bottom of these boards, here's the bottom of that board, okay? See how it's uneven? The tape doesn't sit even. So what we do is we put the tape on there, and that bonds to the board. And if we ever need to pull the board off, we can. But you put the hot glue on the bottom of the tape, and you hold it down there reasonably level, and everything's good. And then if I ever have to pull this piggy off, it just pulls off the tape. Not a big deal. You don't want to put a ton of hot glue on the back of the board, obviously. And it also kind of gives it a little vibration dampening too. So what we're going to do is we're going to run some power leads. We're going to go down. We're going to hook up our ESCs and hook up our signal wires. And the signal wires are going to go right here. So we got motor 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when I get this thing wired up, we're going to go over it so you guys can see what's going on. I don't want to show you soldering because it's fucking boring. It's Friday night, and who the fuck's going to sit here and watch that for 5 hours? So let me wire that bit up, and I'll be right back. Hang on. All right, so here we go. We have got the power leads pushed out from our ESCs to the power distribution board here. Okay. This is the rear end, this is the front, and then the same thing with the front. I did not cut the front down. I probably should have, but that's okay. Plenty of room, plenty of room. So now what we need to do is we need to solder. I'm going to tin up the rest of this board. I had to change tips, so I might have changed them back. And we also did our signal wires. So you've got basically Omnibus F3. This is our receiver. And we got motor 4, motor 3, motor 2, motor 1, all the way up. And we're going to straighten up these wires as we go. But let me give you a piece of advice. Do not worry about neatening shit up until you're done. Because it never fucking fails. You'll sit there and you'll wire the shit and you'll clean up and all this pretty stuff. And then you realize you fucked up and you got to do it again. Now we need to get some power going to our processor. Okay, so I'm actually going to wire that in. No big deal. Actually, this one's already got power, if I remember right. Yeah. I don't think we cut that one yet, so that's okay. We're going to leave that one there. So when we just supply our battery power, we should be good. Now, the next thing, we do need to put on a battery lead, so I'll do that. Battery lead's going to go right here. I'm going to bring it out the bottom. And everything will be copacetic there, but that's easy stuff. So now what we need to do, one thing I do recommend you guys do, let me grab this off the wall here. This thing's been on my wall for a while, is definitely print out your flight controller, okay? So like in this case, we've got our ground 5-volt LED strip, and I'm gonna put LEDs on here. Buzzer negative, buzzer positive, which we will use. Voltage battery in, which we're gonna use. And the current, ground, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I'll go over this in a bit. But definitely have that ready. So what we're going to do now is we're going to tin this entire board up. Because everything that we're going to use. And that's going to be reasonably straightforward. So, yeah, we'll do that right now. My tip is really too wide for this. But we're going to do it anyway. I had one of my brothers asking me, because he knew I was going to do this video. He said, here, I'll zoom in. Bam! He's like, are you going to use obstacle avoidance? And I said, yeah, I am. It's called a fucking FPV camera. Okay. What he's talking about, there's two types of obstacle avoidance. One is sonar, which you can buy those very, very cheap. And the other one is going to be what is that shit called? Transceiver diodes, which is basically infrared. Here's the trick with obstacle avoidance for those of you guys that spend way too much money on fucking DJI crap. Obstacle avoidance only works if you're going reasonably slow. I don't build slow drones. I just don't. So, yeah, not my bag. Sorry. Just don't crash into shit. I don't think I've ever totaled a drone. Totaled a lot of quads, but never a drone. So yeah, whatever. I gotta change this tip back. This thing sucks balls. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna connect my battery connector real quick. And I'm not, I'm skipping a lot of the soldering for this, guys, because it's like, y'all know how, if you want to know how to solder, watch my soldering video or one of the 8 billion other ones on YouTube. It's very difficult soldering with a tip that's that fucking big on a board. So yeah, either way. I think that's about it. So the other thing we're going to do, I am also going to take, we're going to solder in some other stuff here. We have our OLED, which I have not decided where I'm even putting yet. This came off one of my other quads. This is a completely optional bit, okay? This is really not important to have. I never use them actually, it's just kind of cool to see. So I might put it here. I don't know. We'll worry about that bit later. But we have a lot of shit that's going 5 volts here. Now our receiver is already wired in to the 5 volts of the board. Okay, so that's okay. And I'm going to wire a lot of other stuff into the 5 volts of the power distribution board because I don't want to tax or override that board. So what's up next? I wired up a bunch of shit. We have to use a VTX ground mounted camera, and I have not decided where I'm putting that yet. Probably going to go right there. Let's see. Yeah, probably right there. I'm going to put in this video switcher. Yeah, maybe right there. That'd be kind of sweet. Got to make sure it's not going to be in the way of the battery. So it's either got to be way the fuck up here or way the fuck back here. Or we're going to put it back in this little hind quarter here. I haven't decided. But I'm going to take my Dremel tool and I'm going to route out where this camera needs to go. Yeah, maybe in the front. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Let's see. Guess it really doesn't matter because either way I have to lengthen those fucking wires. That sucks. But either way. So this one's going to be pointing straight down. And then we've got the OLED. We've got the Bluetooth unit. We've got all this other stuff. Which was just here. Fuck. Oh. The VTX, I've decided, is actually going on the top side of the drone. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that at this point. So let me get my shit together and find all the bits I want to put on here, and I'll be right back. Oh, there it is. Never mind. All right. Bam. There's our Bluetooth. Now, Bluetooth, I'm only using, like if you guys want to use follow me mode where you hit go and it follows you on the phone, you can use it for that. But I'm actually using this so I can set this up with iNav, which is basically beta flight for drones. I'm just setting that up with this, okay? So I don't actually have to physically plug in my cable. That's the only thing. That, and if I want to program waypoints and make it fly to Black Hawk's house and shit on his head, that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to put this right here. Doesn't matter. Put it wherever she fits, okay? And then we're going to wire that in a little bit. So then we've got our motor wires, we've got our signal cables going in, we have our receiver wired in. Theoretically, you could fly with this thing right now, for the most part. I'm going to add in a bunch of other bells and whistles. Like I said, we're going to be putting in this 2-axis gimbal, which is going to go right about here. So I need to make sure I've got enough wire. I'm probably going to extend those wires. That's easy enough. That needs to go into 12 volt. We're going to have that go out the front. The other thing we need to do is our lights, our LEDs. This is going to be kind of cool. These things are so fucking bright, guys, that, oh, good Lord have mercy. I'm telling you, it just make you fucking blind. So I'm trying to figure out the best way. I think I'm going to take the nuts off, and we're going to put a little bit of hot glue on them, actually. Just a little. That's not going to be the permanent fix. Shit. There it is. It's not going to be the permanent fix. I'm going to epoxy them in, but I'm going to use hot glue to hold them in for now. So if we go here, here, yeah. Let's do that real quick. And then I'm going to silicone or epoxy them in tonight while we're waiting. So, all right, I'm going to do that real quick. This will only take 2 seconds. I'm going to basically wire these all in parallel. So I'm going to connect the positives to the negatives to the positives, and then I'm going to only have 2 wires coming out that we're going to take to our 12 volts on our power distribution board. And this thing's going to be so bright. fucking forget about Icarus is going to try to fly into that shit, son. So I'll be right back. Let me do that real quick. All right, we're back. So we did a couple of things. You see all this nasty ass hot glue on here. You're not going to see that once we put the cover on. We got all 4 of the high powered LEDs on there. Those are wired into 12 volts. I also have extended the lead for the gimbal, the 2-axis gimbal that's going to go on the front. That is also 12 volts, and that is also wired into the power distribution board. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to wire in our Bluetooth, I think. And yeah, I think that's what we're going to do next. So yellow is transmit, which is white for me. Colorblind, so we got hot, cold, receive, and transmit. So we're going to solder those in right into here. So bam, going to show you that in 2 seconds. Right back. All right, so what we've done, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but we have taken our Bluetooth and we have wired our positive into the bottom rail and our negative into the top. And if you look at this, this is how our flight controller is sitting. All right. Use your camera to your advantage, right? We have grounds right across here, positives right across here. That's your transmit 1, receive 1, transmit 2. This is UART 1, receive 1, UART 2, receive 2. So we have put our Bluetooth into there. We're going to put our GPS into the other 2. And then we're going to put our compass into SDA. Now the thing we got to think about is, with this big beast, we've got this big old cover that needs to go on. And I want my compass to look good. Let's see if we can get out here. And it's got to go this way. That's easy enough. So, do I have enough room, enough wire, to have it go through here and through the back? And the reason I'm trying to figure that out is because I don't really want to have to wire this through. Because if I wire it through here, that's all well and good, but then this thing's permanently attached. Woo! Propeller! Alright. So, I do believe, I don't know, it's still going to be attached even there. So, but we can take that plate off pretty easily. And then that's going to go to there. I think that's what we're going to do, kids. I'm going to wire this up and I'm going to show you where it goes. Be right back. Bam! Here we go. Okay, so what we did, we wired in our GPS. I took off the whole platform. I used double-sided tape and stuck our old GPS down on there. Might need to straighten it out. It's pretty tight though. Put a little bit of hot glue right there and right there just to give it a little bit of extra support. And then, I guess I can use my zoom. Been a long day. I'm tired. All right. So now what we did, let me grab a pointer. Got a pointer? Got a pointer. I'll use a tweezers. All right. We took our 5 volts for our GPS and we wired it here and here on the power distribution board, 5 volts. Then we took our white and orange and we put it into, or you can see it here. White is going into UART transmit 2 and orange is going into UART receive 2. So when we go to set this up in iNav, this is going to be UART 2, the GPS. And then we put our compass into SDA and SDL. I'm going to show you on the let's see, right here. 7 and 8 SDA and SDL is your compass, and we used yellow for SDA and we used green for SDL. You have to have a compass, kids. Bad shit'll happen. So you got to have that. So now what do we got? We got our Bluetooth in, we got this in. I'm actually going to put in an extra part that's completely unneeded, and that is a voltmeter. And the only reason I'm putting this in is 100% for fun, because I have like 50 of the fucking things, and why not? So we'll be able to just look. That go my rum. Son of a bitch. How cool is that? Okay, so we're going to just trim them off. We're going to conformal coat. Let's see. Just to make sure. And all you got to do is wire this into anything that's getting the full battery voltage. And this is just for fun here, kids. You don't need this shit. not a bit. Okay. I ordered these off of Banggood for like, I don't know, $1. So I ordered like 30 of them just because I thought it was cool. And we're going to peel this little bit of plastic off. Bam! Look at that. Okay. And I did hot glue the wires because their wires kind of suck. And we're just going to hot glue this pig. Ain't got to be nothing fancy. You can put it on the back if you want to. I'm just going to put it right here on the front. I think it looks kind of cool. And that should give us plenty of wire to make it work. So one thing that I do is I will take a razor knife and just cut some lines into where I'm putting the hot glue. That gives it a little bit more stiction. Okay, I'm gonna put a big old wad here. No big deal, not but a peanut. I'm gonna line it up. All right, 100% optional. You do not need this. It's just for fun. I got a bunch of them. The other thing that I did do is I mounted my rear view down camera right there. So we're gonna have a camera that shoots down. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to wire in the, well, we're gonna wire in the voltmeter obviously, but we need to wire in the switcher. I don't know if I'm even going to use the OLED. I might. If I can find a good place for it. So we're going to wire this into anywhere, like I said. We're going to re-tin those just for fun. Go ahead and cut them off a little bit. Not worth it. Not worth it. So this is a big, nice chassis. This frame is awesome because you've got so much room to do stuff. That's what I like about it. I've built drones this complex with a whole lot less room. This thing's a dreamboat. It really is. Thanks, Warlock. If this thing fucking flies, it's gonna be awesome. So all we gotta do is tag this into our main input voltage. There. And like I said, guys, this is for fun. This is not a necessity by any stretch of the imagination. There. But what's kind of cool about this is when you go to plug in your battery, you can look right on the front of the bird and you will see your voltage. Or when you land, whichever. See? Bam. Pretty neat. Let's see. Get rid of that hot glue gun before I burn my dumb ass. All right, so we've got a camera that's going to here. That's going to be a 5-volt lead. And then we've got another camera coming up. That's going to be a 5-volt lead. Then we've got the VTX, that's a whole nother lead. And then we've got the camera switcher. And then we're pretty much, at that point, just about done. So, I think we're going to call it a night for tonight. I'll finish it up tomorrow. And we'll have a look and see how it's going. Bam! Have a good one, kids. Episode 2 coming up. Latest.
Bam, JJ! Hope you like fishing.